Oh, there we go. Good. How's everybody doing today? Okay, so some more questions here, so let's jump in. Hey Mark, how are you doing? Love your work. So, Mark, I must tell you that I have spent over $200,000 in 1 year going to all the top gurus. You name them, I've been there. I went to all motivational speakers. I literally mean any of them, I've been there, the big ones. Question mark is, I usually go to these motivational speakers and I notice I have change, but it's temporary. I'll have success for 2 to 3 months and then I'm back into the rut. Until I found your channel, which is 4 to 5 months now, I've seen significant changes consistently. Mark, can you please explain why this happens? Why only after a few months I get hyped, very passionate, and then I go back into my regular routine? Can you tell me what's going on with my mind? From learning from your channel, I discovered that it is the mind, and as I'm starting to do it now, I'm finding more and more success. But I'm sure this will help other individuals who were struggling like me. Is there an easy way to manifest, and what is happening? Why does this happen where I meet success for a few months and it tapers off? Thank you, from New Zealand. Okay. All right, so that was a pretty good one. All right, so here is what's happening. All right. Anytime we have been conditioned to use surface level understanding. So whenever you go to conferences, motivational stuff, all these things that are happening, it's primarily focused on surface level understanding. Excuse me. I'll just ate. Surface level understanding is a conscious mind thing. The secret is, the reason why you have success and then it tapers off is because we are using our logical mind, which is temporary. The lasting changes occurs in your subconscious mind. So whenever you go to somewhere, you get hyped up and motivated, it's a surface level thing. It's not a subconscious thing. You see, your conscious mind can override your subconscious temporarily, but the subconscious must come back to play. And this is why after a few months, you go back into your old pattern. Now, the secret really is this. You have to let these two things stop controlling you. And when you let these two things stop from controlling you, that's when you can get anything you want easily and effortlessly. Okay? And what are these two things that are controlling you? Number one, it is your intellect mind. Number two, it is your current circumstances or reality. Once you can shift those two things, your entire world will shift and you have lasting changes. It's really that simple. The question is, how does this work and why is it that this way? Well, in order for you to understand this, we have to go back into how the laws of science and physics work. Because I could teach you this right now, and if you don't have the understanding of the backstory, you won't have the confidence or the belief to input it. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do a brief synopsis of all of this stuff. The first thing I want you to understand is this. The reason why you don't have it and it's struggling, or you're trying to get it and it's not coming to you, is because you're in a misidentification reality. What is a misidentification reality? It's a reality where you're not in your true self. For the record, so this is the first lesson you have to know. There is not one reality. Okay? We exist in infinite realities. It's called multiverse. Quantum physics shows us that. We know that now through how particles interact with space-time dimensions. They're always here, there, and everywhere. You are made from these particles, so that at one point you must repeat. Yes, your whole body, your whole person, you must repeat a duplicate of yourself, because it's infinite. So that's the first lesson in that. The next lesson is, whatever your reality is right now, it's not your true self. So if you change your reality now, you will change yourself. What do I mean by that? Okay, let me put it this way. Our reality is observed by our regular mind. Our reality, however, is absorbed by our subconscious mind. So what you see right now is a picture of your regular mind, but the backdrop of why it's happening is because of your subconscious mind. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Let's continue. So what happens is, whenever you allow your mind to tell you this is what it is, then your subconscious presents this is what it is to you. The first lesson is you got to stop letting your mind control you and understand that you are not the mind. Your mind is a limited tool. We get engulfed in our mind because we think what we see and what we hear and all that stuff is real. It's not reality. It's a portion of reality. It's about 1% of the true nature of reality. So when you understand that, okay, so my mind is the culprit, then how I feel is the second culprit. Yes, because mind creates feelings, feelings create matter or reality. And once that starts to happen, this is where you end up in a cycle that you don't want to continue. You know, you keep going and going and going and going. So how do you fix it? The first thing is everything is fixed by being aware of what's happening in your life. You fix it by understanding that this is temporary. That what you're feeling right now, the circumstances you're in, it's not your destiny, it's not your goal. If it's something negative, you don't like it, you'll be fine. You'll move from it. That's all you got to do. Because look, let me show you something deep, man. That's literally all you have to do. Once you do that, it changes. You see, guys, we make things complicated because of our minds. The universe isn't complicated. The universe is actually quite simple. The universe is a universe of flow and non-struggle. Nothing in the universe struggles, man. We struggle. We create struggle. We create lack. Our minds and our subconscious. So whenever you get into these what I call interference patterns, is because of things that we were taught and we were conditioned through our subconscious or unconscious mind. So the first thing is, how do you get out of this pattern, is to understand the principles of quantum physics in the universe. And quantum physics says that everything exists simultaneously. Nothing is difficult. Everything is in a flow state, and you are in that state too. Once you start to get that in your head, then you'll start to see the change. Because check this out. For you to do something and to become an expert at something, you first have to understand the something, right? You can't be an expert of something if you don't understand what you're being an expert of, right? So you just can't go into your reality and say, oh, I'm going to change reality, if you don't know the backstory of how reality works. So if you understand, if I'm teaching you and say, look, man, this stuff works on the quantum level. It's a level that you can't see. It's the ingredients of everything, and this is how it works. And then when you understand, you say, oh, man, okay, that makes sense. That's when you start to get out of the cycle of lack. Because now you're not a prisoner of your mind anymore. You're not a prisoner of your circumstances, because you understand your circumstances are temporary and you can shift and get out of them. So the misidentification comes in because you're using your surface level mind, and your surface level mind can only see about a fraction of the true stuff, the true nature of reality. Your surface level mind cannot see the whole, let's call it shebang, or the whole picture. Your surface level mind cannot see the big picture of reality. So your surface level mind will only see temporary stuff in your world. Does that make sense? All right. So whenever you're experiencing inconsistencies up and down, it really means that your surface level mind is at war with your subconscious mind. Your surface level mind will win for 3 months, and your subconscious will come back and win for like 2 more years, and then the battle will go up and down. And the reason why the battle goes up and down is because the subconscious will always be more powerful than the surface level mind. I gotta take the shades off, because this is so important for people to understand. Because what happens is you think you're thinking with your mind. You're not actually thinking with your mind. Your mind is just bringing It's bringing things that are out there. It's not thinking. It's just information past and you're picking it up. Okay? And so your mind tells you this is what's happening, this is life. No, that's not what life is. Life is what you want to make it, what you think you deserve. So next thing you got to do now, you got to make your subconscious conscious. Okay? How do I make my subconscious like my conscious mind? You have to know the language and the direction of the subconscious. Your subconscious have rules, just like your conscious mind has rules. The one rule of the subconscious, it always accepts information. It doesn't reject information. Our next rule of the subconscious, it's not a thinking mind. It's not a logical mind. It's an illogical mind. Next rule of the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind does not know any time variant. It doesn't have understanding of linear time. It doesn't know the past or the future. Everything is the same to the subconscious mind. Next language of the subconscious mind, okay, is it primarily speaks to you and take information in the form of imagery. Next rule of the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind primarily takes form and information when you speak out aloud, particularly in question format. It's a doer mind. Once you have those tools, that understanding of it, that's when you start to see the permanent changes. Because what happens is your subconscious will control the actions and your habits, which will in turn tell your conscious mind what's happening. Your conscious mind will adapt to these new actions and habits, and they will be on the same plane. When they're on the same plane, you're no longer what? Your mind is no longer controlling you. Well, number one. What? Number two, now, your circumstances will effectively start to change. When you change your circumstances, you change your reality. So, okay, look at it this way. Let me show what happens. Whenever you let your mind run you, or tell you what to do, and you're thinking with your mind, or you're trying to create your world with your mind, you're in a misidentification. You're not yourself. So the universe is very unified and very harmonious. So look, like the cells in your body. Let's say someone needs a transplant, or organ transplant. When they get an organ transplant, they got to give them what they call immune suppressancy drugs. They got to give them these drugs that will the immune system from attacking itself. Because what happens is that new organ comes in, the cell says, I don't recognize you. I know my organ. Who are you? Your body's unique. That's how it is. So when you let your mind run you, that's what is happening. Your cells are like, who's this? And you get misidentification. And you start to just have a crazy, messed up life. Things start happening you don't want. Because your cells are trying to figure out, is this us or that's us? See what's happening? But once you now become the identifier of the mind, when you become the true person of, your cells now just go along with the flow. They say, oh, that's us all along. That's what your mind will do to you. Your mind will give you a false image of who you are. But that's not who you truly are, though. You see, what you are and true are is bigger than your mind. But you will never know that because your mind can't see beyond the capacity of limitation. So when your mind is limited, you become limited. When you become limited, you get misidentification. When you get misidentification, that's where you get struggle, lack, and all that crazy stuff. But once you identify yourself and say, oh, this is who I truly am. Man, I'm like infinite. I'm part of the universe. There's no struggle. I have another part of my mind, the subconscious, that I didn't even know that was infinite. That I didn't even know that could get me information, make me wealthy, make me successful. All that stuff is in me? Yeah. Once you get that, that's when you stop misidentifying and you start to become yourself. So that's why I said you can't let these two things control you, your mind and your current reality. You got to understand that your mind is going to do what it's an intellect. The ego is intelligent. That's what it does. It perceives, it observes, and then it deduces and tells you based on calculations, based on past experiences, and it says this is what's going on in your life. This is how it is. And then if you try to use it beyond, you're going to get stuck because it can't go beyond. It's going to rerun the play until you discover your subconscious mind, which leads to your higher self. That's when the game changes for you. So the viewer asked this question, he says, why when I spent all this money, hundreds of thousands of dollars going to these conferences and seeing these gurus and seeing these motivational speakers, I only get results for 3 months and I go back into my mindset. Well, now you know why. Because those 3 months were your conscious mind using willpower overriding your subconscious blocks or whatever it is, and you're on this high for a little bit. And then what happens is it must come down. When it comes down, the program takes over. See, guys, we are programs, okay? About 98% of our lives are already pre-planned. We're programmed to do that. Everything we do in the morning, and we observe it and we think we're making a decision. We're not actually making any decision. Decisions are being made for us based on our subconscious map of reality. So we're like a walking programs. And then once you understand you're a program, then you can say, okay, what is a program? A program is something that you can change programs, right? So once you can change your program, you change your reality in your life, and then your mind adapts. But we go in our daily life assuming we are the mind, and then all this stuff happens to us is just fate and bad luck and da da da. But it's actually not. You actually have more control in your life than you actually think you have. And that's the secret. So now when you do that, boom, you'll move over and you create the best version of your life. So if you can understand that, the game changes big time for you. Reprogramming the subconscious mind is the following. If you know the language, as I said before, you have to reprogram your subconscious mind by getting into the state of the subconscious. Your brain goes in these different states: alpha, theta, beta, delta, gamma. These are frequency waves that we exist on. Every single moment of every day, we are shifting wave patterns in our brain. Primarily about 12 hours to 14 hours, we're in a beta state. That's the conscious intellect mind state. You won't get much work done there. You won't be able to program your subconscious there. So when you got to get into the state to program the subconscious, and that's called the alpha or theta state. That's when you're relaxed. That's when you're in a meditative state. But it's when you're sleeping. So if you want to know the fastest way to reprogram your subconscious, when you're sleeping. Okay, you know what the next big tool? Subliminals. Because you can't, when you sleep, you're not alert consciously. When you sleep, people, your conscious mind shuts off. There's no more blocks. It can easily get in. So when you go to sleep and you use what's called auto-hypnosis, these subliminal messages program, then while you're sleeping, your subconscious now will start to change. And when you get up in the morning, you will start to experience new habits and actions. It takes time, though. It's months, 90 days, sometimes 3, 4, 5 months. But you have to do it repetitively, because your subconscious, also one rule of the subconscious, it doesn't like change, and it likes to take the easy way out. It doesn't like to work hard. So why does the subconscious mind doesn't like to work hard? Because the universe doesn't struggle. There's no struggle in the universe. Everything is flow effortlessly. You create struggle. The Matrix created struggle in you. They taught you struggle. They tell you you gotta push and fight and work hard to get what you want. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff, man. All you have to do is know the secret codes of the universe. There's all these hidden codes right there in front of you, man, coming out every day to show you, take that way, take that way. If only you listen and stop trying to deduce and stop trying to think and stop trying to logicalize. That's when you get in trouble. All right, let me put it this. I learned this 3 years ago, and my life changed. You know what I do now? Everything I approach it from an effortless standpoint. When I do something and it doesn't flow easily, I cut it off. When I do something and I meet resistance, I cut it off. When I do something and it flows effortlessly, I let it in. That's it. See how it works? Because once you get into that state, you're going to be directed and guided through the authentic higher self. All right, I'll tell you the story. The lottery. When I won the lottery, when I manifested the lottery, and all the winnings I got, they were so effortless for me. You know why? Because once I got into the flow, the universe started showing me. I would see numbers. I would see signs. I would get intuition. I mean, there's one time I went to the store, man. and it was outdoors. It was like the little drive-through thing. And I told the story before, and there were like scratch offs there. And I asked the guy, I said, I want to get a scratch off. And all the scratch offs were there, but there's one particular scratch off, and the wind was blowing the scratch off like this, and all of them were still. It was just blowing, and I was like, okay, so the wind is blowing, but why aren't the other scratch offs being blown? Why is this particular scratch off being blown? And I said, oh, that means for me to get it. And I bought that ticket. It was a $10,000 winner. Flow state. Flow state. So now you see how it works? Just as examples that we live in a reality is stranger than fiction, my friends. That's correct. Someone says ebb and flow. Your intuition is what's called your superpower. It's always there. Intuition is beyond knowledge. Intuition is the highest intelligence you will ever experience. And intuition, here's the thing about intuition. Intuition doesn't come when you think. You don't tap into intuition by thinking, people. You tap into intuition by being, by just being there and keeping your mind free. Someone says I was in a flow state when I found my dream job. Everything comes when you're in the flow state. And the flow state only happens when you learn the laws of the universe. Now you see how it works? And that's why, hopefully this helped this individual here, that once you understand, you get out of your own way, get out of your own mind. That's when your intuition is always talking to you. Your intuition never slows down. What happens is the intellect mind has such a powerful voice over your intuition, and you're used to your intellect mind that you disregard what your intuition is. You start to question yourself. So you don't need to question yourself, and that's it. So my advice for you is go with the flow. If you feel resistance, then you step back a little bit and let the universe show you the other way, because it will always show you. And that's when you do that, you communicate into the universe. You're telling the universe, oh, I figured this stuff out now. I'm no longer going to have to push and try to force stuff. Now I'm just going to let it be, and the intuition is going to kick in, and the visions and the synchronicities, all that stuff is going to start to come in, and then boom, that's when you will start to see change in your life. So just remember that, people. Don't let these two things control you. Your mind and your circumstances. You can change all of that. Boom! Reality starts to be in your favor. An example, I'll have one more thing. Someone asked me now, what is the example of a flow state? Okay, an example of flow state is very simple. If you have option A, option B. So let's say option A, you're trying to do something, but you keep meeting a lot of push or force, and it's not working. It's just like something's pushing you back. That's resistance. Option B, you make your first attempt, it falls right into place. That's the flow state. You don't have to do, it's like, huh? All right, let's make it simple. You're making a phone call to do something, and the phone keeps getting busy, and when the person comes on the line, the call drops. And you call back again, it rings and stops. They pick up, hello, the call drops. And you're trying to, it's like, man, okay, so you let it go. The minute you let it go, they call back, and the call doesn't drop, and it goes. That's flow state. That's an example of the flow and the resistance state. That's how the world works. Okay. Someone asked me one more here. What do you think about scripting? Scripting is very strong enough. That's the language of the subconscious. That's how the world works. Once you get that, you navigate the world and it changes it. Remember now, you don't live in one reality. You experience multiple realities simultaneously at the same time. And you can sink into that reality. And that's what the flow state does. The flow state actually sinks you into the reality that has the least effort, the least resistance. And the reality looks the same, just like this reality. Because it is this reality, but it's so infinite that tiny parts of it change and everything looks exactly alike. You will never skip a beat. Every time you're doing something and it works out, you're skipping reality. Every single day, negative, you're skipping realities. The reason why is a fundamental law of physics. Nothing ever stays at rest. Particles are constantly moving. They shift in and out of dimensions. You are made of that stuff, so you are constantly dimensional shifting. On a quantum level, we call it the microscopic, and then on the physical level, we call it macroscopic. And microscopic creates macroscopic. So just because you can't see it, and you only got, remember, you're limited, it's happening, and it's all the vibrations attuned into frequencies. And that will be the secret to your success. See you next time.